gentleman in here that I've known forever. Can you introduce yourself, Min?
Hi, I'm Mayor John Penny.
So, Mayor John Penny. And John, do you do anything else besides be the mayor of our city?
I'm an insurance agent. We have a local insurance agency in town. It's called Holly Hill Home and Auto.
I've known you from all your different things all these years. How many years have you been here?
I was born in Halifax Hospital.
Were you?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool. I've never met anybody that was actually born there and still lived here and all that. I mean, my
Yeah.
grandchildren, but that's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And who are you, sir?
And I am Joe Forte. I'm the city manager for the city of Holly Hill, and I've been back with the city of Holly Hill since 2014, so 12 years. I started my career in Holly Hill in 1990 as a firefighter and worked my way up to the fire chief, which is probably when I first met you many, many years ago.
Yeah.
And then in 1999, 2000, I became the city manager. Did that for about 7 years and then went off to Seminole County for 7 years and then came back.
Now, what do you both love about Holly Hill before we start talking about it? Because I love to hear the backstory. Why do you do what you do in Holly Hill?
If we could go, it's like a Mayberry. You know, it's a gym.
Yeah.
You know your neighbors. You care about your neighbors. When one of your neighbors is down, I actually had some surgery last year, and I was down and out for a couple months, and my neighbors cut my grass for me. You know, just that little, you know who you live next to and who you work with.
And that's one of the reasons why I love it.
Yeah.
And what about you?
Just similar to what the mayor said, it's the people of this community. You know, I work in an office where I don't have a gatekeeper. I don't have an assistant or a secretary or an admin assistant. And I have people that walk in straight to my office. That's how open my door is. I literally have people that will come in when I'm having a meeting with the mayor to ask me a question.
And you usually answer it too, or you'll
yes.
say, "Just give me a minute." I mean, but that's
Right.
great quality.
It is, and you won't find that in most any other city around here. And in my opinion, it's the people that we deal with day in and day out. And we understand that there are some challenges that they're going through, and our initial job, our reaction should be figuring out how to assist them, how to get them comfortable, and how to make them happy.
That's kind of why I wanted to do this thing about Holly Hill, because we kind of get a bad rap. You know, we're in between Ormond and Daytona, and people always say to me, "Well, Shelley, you could live anywhere." And I go, I do live anywhere. I live exactly where I want to live. I'm 1,000 feet from the river and like a mile to the beach and an hour to all the
Right.
craziness. So
Right.
how can you want to live anywhere else, right?
Exactly.
It's a wonderful place to live.
It is.
And anything you want is within the
Totally.
city of Holly Hill. You know, I used to tell people, they'd say, "Where can I get this?" I said, "Check Holly Hill first."
Yep.
We've got everything in the city, nearly everything in the city that you need. Now, not what the big box stores have, but there's enough here with even Ace Hardware and all the things that they provide.
I know, my husband's there every day. So tell us what we're talking about today.
We thought we'd go over last week's agenda a little bit and then talk a little bit about what's coming up on next week's agenda.
Awesome. The floor is y'all's.
All right. Well, we'll start out with we had I wasn't at the last meeting, so I don't have firsthand knowledge of how the meeting went. But we do have the agenda, and I'm sure the mayor will pick up on what we have here. But we've had a lot of presentations, a lot of proclamations in the morning.
We had I think 4 proclamations last week, and 3 of them dealt with heavy topics. One was the passing of our Vice Mayor Roy Johnson, and so we honored him. But then the other 2 are, you know, growing up in the 60s and 70s, were kind of taboo topics that we didn't talk about. And if we talked about them more, I think there would be less of these things happening.
So are you going to tell us the topics? Now that you have us all curious?
Well, one was, I'm trying to remember. I'm losing my mind here. This is
The wrong
agenda.
agenda
Joe
you're
put
looking
the wrong.
He was testing you, and you did very well that you knew it was the wrong one, didn't he, Joe?
He
See?
did. He
He
handled it
passed, Joe.
Yeah.
For first timer here.
The first was Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and then Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Those are 2 powerful things that the city needs to know about, and the people in the city, huh?
Yeah, it is for sure. And then the last one wasn't such a big thing, but it's water conservation, and we only have so much fresh water, and people are moving here. What is it, 6,000 people a week or something like that moving to the state of Florida?
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's a lot.
I mean, that's why every time we look around, there's a new building going up or a new apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have a great state.
Yeah.
You know, and I love living here. I can't imagine living anywhere else.
No income tax and no snow to shovel. Right?
Yeah, right there. Thank you. I don't think I could do that snow thing.
Exactly.
So what are we doing when you have these meetings and you bring these things up? What is the city doing? Are they talking about it? Are they supporting it? How are they making the change?
Basically, it's a proclamation.
And what does that mean in English? I know what that means, but there's
So
a listener that doesn't understand.
It's bringing awareness to the subject.
Okay.
And it's a formal declaration or formal acknowledgement of an issue.
Okay.
And it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of whereases. Whereas the city of Holly Hill recognizes this subject, and whereas the city of Holland, so it's kind of crazy. It's not, the proclamations aren't written in speaking English.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a formal thing that you could put in a frame and put it in your office somewhere. But I read the formal proclamation into the record, and then 99 times out of 100, there's a representative from that organization that'll come and put it in plain English and spotlight the subject a little better than the actual formal proclamation does.
I noticed the monthly meetings, like with the chief of police, they seem to be doing more of those kind of things also, bringing awareness to different groups. And
Right.
that's awesome, because I think that it's a kept secret and people are going through all kinds of stuff, but we don't know what to do.
Right.
You know, or we have a neighbor, or we've seen a child that maybe's got something questionable, but then like, what do I do?
Right.
So I think it's great that you're talking about and having a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is real important, and you'd be surprised at just acknowledging and recognizing some of these things, how important it is to people. In fact, there was a story, I think it occurred in Florida, that truck drivers are trained to recognize human trafficking.
Yep.
And there was a story about a truck driver who witnessed the girl's behavior, and sure enough, she was being abducted.
Well, you know, there's a sign for it. Did you know that?
I didn't know. I knew that
Close
she
hand and
did
open,
something.
close hand and open.
Okay.
Because I was actually at a meeting and they had us all do it. And, you know, it's funny because you will see like a couple together or whatever, or somebody, and you need to pay attention. I actually have a relative that was on a plane and somebody gave a sign and she went and got help.
Wow.
And
So how does the victim know that? How does
I think it's just like, because the more people that speak about it and the more people that show it.
maybe they're being taught in school or
Right, but also because, like today, we just showed it
Right.
live over the air to millions of people.
Right,
and we
right.
might have just changed somebody's life
Yeah.
by they're in a situation, they don't know how to communicate it out. There was something like that actually happened at Wawa's not too long ago, where somebody did it right into the camera.
wow.
And it was a live feed, and somebody actually picked up on it and was able to help this person. So, you know, if you see something weird, I would rather just call 911 and be over than
Right.
under.
Right.
Right.
You know, because if that happened to one of my grandchildren or my children, oh my goodness. So why don't you be proactive everywhere you go? So that is
Yeah.
what you actually do. It's
It might
folding
just
in.
save a life.
Yep.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Very good. Well, now I learned something today.
So I just traveled internationally, and in the airports, it's in the restroom stalls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it?
There's a sign that tells you what to do if you're in trouble and you need help. Maybe we put it in our public restrooms.
No, it
wherever
is
we
a
can,
great thing.
you
You
know?
just don't know. I mean, it
You don't
should
think
be.
about it.
It should be in every school. It should be in every church. It should be everywhere,
Gotta make a
because
note of that.
it could be a huge change in somebody's life.
Yeah.
I even think about like at the parks,
Yeah.
because you know a lot of things they say happen at parks. I've never had anything happen to me at a park, but I'm just saying that's what they say, and that could just be one person's life that gets
Right.
changed.
Yeah, we can put it in the restrooms in our public parks.
Wouldn't that be cool? Gosh, see,
See what
look
we
at the
did?
change we're
Move
making
it.
in Holly Hill.
Already.
Moving and shaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what else was going on in the city?
Really, we only had two other big things. Changing the zoning for recovery residences.
Right.
And basically, it was just some verbiage to allow houses. Most cities have an ordinance that there's only so many unrelated people that can live in a home.
Oh, really?
So you don't want a fraternity house popping up next to you, right?
Typically, it's about 6 unrelated people can live in a home together.
I did not know that.
Otherwise, you have an apartment living next to you,
That's
or a fraternity
true.
house.
That's true. I never thought of it that way.
And so, but there are special interests that need more than 6 people. So
Right.
a recovery house,
Yes.
for example.
And I'm
a
big
sober
into
house.
that, so I think
And
that's very important.
So that's something that we changed recently to make it more accommodating for those uses.
Now, does the city have requirements that they allow a recovery house in the city, or do you have you can only have 2 in the city? Is there those kind of requirements, or not really?
I don't think there's any number. I don't even think there is a short distance, isn't there, between them, Joe?
You can only have so many in a neighborhood because you don't want a neighborhood inundated with recovery homes. But what's important about this is the state of Florida changed the rules, and now we wanted to match our ordinance to what the state of Florida has. So now it limits the number of people that can be in a home, the distance to another home. It has to be licensed.
Very important.
It used to be that some of these recovery homes, some are licensed, some are not licensed. Not that they're good or bad, but the state of Florida now wants everybody, if you're going to be called a recovery home and you're going to get any kind of funding, you need to be licensed.
Well, the accountability, it's very
It
important.
was a bad thing down in South Florida. There were a lot of recovery homes popping up, and it was just a money grab. They weren't really providing counseling or services to the clients. They were just taking their
Now,
money.
how do you guys find out about these things? Like when Florida gets a new law, do you get like an email or something? I always wondered that. How do you
we
know?
do, and we have an organization that I'm part of and the city's part of. It's called the Volusia League of Cities, and it's part of the Florida League of Cities. And so they have a huge presence in Tallahassee. So if there's a bill that's making its way through the process, that could negatively affect a city the size of Holly Hill. We have people up there that are watching all the bills moving and can alert us to say, hey, you may want to call your representative and you might want to change this sentence to this sentence
Those
instead of an
smart
and
people
or
that
an
pay
or.
attention, huh?
Right. Because it's the things move so fast in Tallahassee that you have to have people up there watching them. It changes at lightning speed.
Well, I thought it was so cool that Governor DeSantis had everybody do half-staff flags last week. I thought that was really, what an honor.
An honor,
I mean,
boy.
I really thought that was really
Yeah.
special. It blessed my heart to see that.
It was, and it just shows the great relationship that Roy had throughout the state of Florida, and what great representation we have in our legislative delegation, because it took one phone call to Representative Bill Partington, and it was done in less than 4 hours. He goes, don't worry, you'll get an email the day before the funeral to tell you to do it.
Really?
Right.
So
He
one call
contacted-
does make a difference, doesn't
It does.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's our biggest problem. We always think somebody else is going to make the call or the email or whatever. And what I have learned this last couple of years, and this is why we're doing this airtime, one person does make a difference, and knowledge is very important. If we don't know, we don't know what to do.
Right.
Why miss it? Why not be part of the? Now, can we, as a citizen, come to these meetings, or are those a closed meeting?
No, absolutely.
Every meeting
We
is
encourage public participation for the public to come to our meetings for that very reason, to sit there and learn, see what's going on in the government, to actually get the facts and the information as they're presented to the commission and the decisions that they make.
And how do we become part of it? Is it a certain time every month? Do we have to sign up? What do we have to do?
You can do both. Our meetings are always the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. The regular commission meeting starts at 6 p.m. Every once in a while, we'll have a work session that starts at 5 p.m. But you can put yourself on the email list where Val Manning, our city clerk, will send you a copy of the agenda in advance so that you can take a look at it, see if there's anything of interest on there that you want to come listen in on. And even if not, we have just a small handful of people that come to each of our meetings just so that they can stay informed.
I've been a few times, and it is very interesting. I didn't know what to expect, and it runs very smoothly, and y'all keep honor, and there's no wildness going on, at least the ones I've been to. But you do get informed a lot.
Yeah,
And you can listen online, too. We broadcast live online.
That's awesome.
And we have a good commission right now, and for the longest time we've had good commissions, and they get along well. Sometimes they agree to disagree, but they're always professional, and we keep the city moving forward no matter what it is.
Well, I think it's important to agree to disagree.
Right.
It is.
You can't have all like minds.
No, if you have 5 people saying yes to everything, then there's no
different perspective.
Right.
No, so I like to disagree, just
Yeah.
because I think it's important that you have a challenge at
Keeps you on
whatever
your toes.
Yes,
It helps you justify what it is you're looking for.
totally.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
questions: am I really doing what's good for the city, or am I doing it because I feel like doing it today?
Right. And then the thing I've learned, I've been doing this for a while, is to be a better listener and not react as soon as you hear something. Because often when you react, your ears close and you don't hear the rest of the story that someone's trying to tell you. And my father gave me some advice years ago, and I try to use it myself and try to understand when other people are talking to me, that if someone is very passionate about an issue, it's difficult for the person on the other side of the conversation to confuse passion with anger. And so often I've gotten passionate and people shut down because they think I'm angry, and I've done the same thing to them.
So how do you control that then? Because I'm probably
Breathe.
like you.
You have to breathe.
Oh, you have to do that?
You have to breathe. That's
So normal, huh? I don't do normal very well.
and if you stop talking and breathe, count to 10. And
counting is important. It really is.
Yeah, it just slows the conversation.
it slows it down, and you don't blurt something out that you didn't intend. And verbal conversation is great, but I think the worst way we communicate as a society now are texts.
Yep, I do too, because
it's taken the wrong way, it's taken out of context, or maybe you misspelled it, or the worst thing is if you're talk texting and it says something different.
yeah.
Happens a lot. That happens a lot.
Or you accidentally text the wrong person.
Yeah.
Because you've been doing like 5 people, and then all of a sudden
Right.
you go, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
My dad, I love that we had wise dads. My dad would say the thing 1 inch below your nose is going to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
And I thought, that one inch below nose, and I took a tape measure. Oh.
Yeah.
But wise men that we had in our lives, huh?
Yeah, right, for sure.
What else is going on in our little city?
Last agenda, we had a lien reduction. And we were talking earlier before we went online about how do people tell us about things they don't like in this city. And we have code enforcement. We have a very strong code enforcement department. But the problem is that if I live next door to a neighbor that might be a hoarder, and I call the city and the code enforcement goes out, they can talk with them and try to work with them and offer help for them and offer solutions. But if the homeowner is homesteaded and owns the home and doesn't want to do anything to clean it up, we really have very little teeth in our local laws to make them clean it up.
Is it because they're homesteaded, or
because
is that
they're
like the
homesteaded.
anchor?
That's the trigger. So they're homesteaded, and then so the process would be code enforcement goes out and talks to them. Hey, clean this up. I'll give you 30 days, and I'll be back to check. And they come back in 30 days. They haven't made any progress. Go, listen, I'm gonna have to give you a written violation here, and I'm gonna give you another 30 days to come into compliance. I'll check up. Then it doesn't get done. Then they have to go to the special master, which is a judge that comes to the city once a month and hears these cases. And so the judge will be there. Code enforcement will present their case, and then the person that's in the violation will be there, and they'll listen. Okay, well, my husband just had a heart attack, and we have had really trouble, and I'll get it on as soon as I can, judge. And the judge is very reasonable, says, how long will it take? 45 days. Okay, I'm going to give you 60 days just to make sure you're okay. But at the end of 60 days, you've already had 30 days warning, 30 days written notice. I'm giving you another 60 days.
So we're at 120 days.
We're a couple
4
months
months.
down the road, and the neighbor next door doesn't like any of this. I'm going to start finding you $150 a day.
The neighbor,
The person that's in violation,
The violator.
Okay.
at the end of their whatever the time frame is with the special master, they'll start receiving fines. Now, if they're working towards it and code enforcement sees, they have a dumpster out there and half of it's gone, we can work with them.
You're making progress.
But if they've done nothing, the fines kick in.
Wow.
And $150 a day
That's a lot of money.
over 3 or 4 years of people just thumbing their nose at the system adds up. And so what happens often is, and $150 a day might be light. Some of these might have 5 or 6 violations that accumulate $200 a day. So now you're accumulating $1,000 or $1,500 a day fines.
Wow.
And
I'm
very,
going to be cleaning it up real quick.
well, very, very shortly, the level of the fines will exceed the value of the home.
Then what happens?
And then what will happen is, typically, we had a lot of these recently where the house falls into disrepair because the person that owned it died. And then so goes through the process, the kids get it, and the kids don't do anything. What will often happen is when the violations get that high and the people are disinterested or pass away, they'll put it up for sale. And let's say the house is worth $300,000, but the fines are at $500,000. It doesn't make any sense to
Right.
buy an $800,000 house that's worth $300,000. So they'll come to the city, and we'll typically give them, okay, you're going to buy this house, if you come into compliance in 45 days of buying the house, we'll reduce your liens down to our administrative cost and maybe 10% of the original lien. So that the whole goal is to try and clean up the city. We're not trying to lien people's houses.
This is very interesting to me because I always wondered how that worked. And I've seen some homes, but I do understand the death part because, like, when my mom died, even though there was a will and stuff, the probate had to
Takes a while.
Yeah, because you think there's a will, right? But it has to be a living estate or whatever. We didn't know when we did it, a trillion years. So then the probate and all that, and so we're like in a year.
Oh yeah,
of limbo trying to do all this, and so I can see how the neighbor's getting upset on their end. Okay,
The city's not doing anything.
right, but you are, and you're trying to be human because when you go before the judge is a human, and he's going, "Oh, I understand, but I get where both sides." So then you can go before where to buy the house. I mean, how does the house?
They would, the house would be, there would be a contract of real estate agent, but then if you're smart and you've done your homework, you know there's a lien on the house, and if you're going to get a mortgage, there'll be title insurance, and they say, oh, there's a $500,000 lien on the city. Then you would contact the city manager, Joe's office, and you could tell them how the process works, Joe.
Yeah, well, just backtracking a little bit, the difference between the homesteaded properties and the non-homesteaded properties is the city doesn't foreclose on homesteaded properties. We can't. So it's the ones that are rental properties, those are the ones we have a little bit more teeth in getting them into compliance and getting the property owners, the landlords, to try to get the property fixed up. Many of them are out of the area. So the way the process works is once, and in a lot of these cases, like in the case of your mom, you said that it went through probate and it took a while. Well, there's some situations where the relatives are out of town, and while it's going through the probate process, or in some cases there is no heir to the property, squatters move in.
Yes, I've had that, for instance, actually happen.
Now you've got an even bigger problem because now you've got people that moved in. They're there more than 30 days. They've technically, by law, have taken residency of this property.
Probably got a letter delivered.
And the city can't kick them out. We don't have the authority. We have no standing over a piece of vacant property. And if there's no heir or a relative to take control of the property, they stay there. So
how does us, as a citizen, as a neighbor, as an individual, no, it happened in my house.
Right.
Years a squatter came in. We thought we were getting them to do some work while we were upgrading the house, and didn't end up that way, but thank God it all worked out. I mean, but how does an individual, a neighbor or whatever, and we see something weird happen, how do we know it's weird? Are we just being hypersensitive? Well, you know what I'm saying? I mean, how do squatters move in?
Yeah, you kind of know your neighbors. So
that's what we need to do, is know our neighbors more.
Know your neighbor. And if you see someone different, or you know something happened to the owner or the occupant of that house, keep an eye on it. And if you see somebody going in there that shouldn't be in there, call the police. The sooner you call, the easier, the better it is for us to respond to that.
And that happens not only in Holly Hill. It happens everywhere.
All across the country, it happens. So it's difficult to get people out once they're in there. But, on to the process of trying to get these homes fixed up. Once there's a willing buyer and it goes through either a typical sale or a foreclosure, they'll contact the city. Like the mayor said, we want them to bring it into compliance. We have a nominal charge of 10% of the amount of the lien plus administrative costs, and that encourages people to buy these homes and fix them up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
At the end of the day,
really
we want the houses in compliance.
Right.
You don't want to live next door to that junky house.
Totally. My husband's a landscaper, and he has all the houses around us, and he's very particular. They all get cut on the same day. They all get
everything stays level.
Yes, and he's funny about it, and he's really good about being Mr. Neighbor, and I love it because it's so important to him to have, when we drive up into our driveway, we have that look, and we know that all of our neighbors are the same. Right. And it's not that hard to say hi, or not that hard to go carry in somebody's groceries or something, is it? Yeah. I love that. I did not know that. My husband's going to be thrilled to hear that, because we always wondered. We think there's a house on our street that something like that happened, and we were wondering.
Call the city, and we can go check it out.
We actually had one scenario. We had a very astute code enforcement officer. We had squatters move into a house, and they actually fixed the house up. It looked wonderful. And these people were going through the process, and they would have stayed there for a long time. But one of our code enforcement officers saw that this house was getting unusually fixed up pretty well. And she kind of kept an eye on them and saw what they were doing and ended up calling the police. And what happened is they falsified the documents and had somebody pose as the deceased owner, and they went in and purchased the property through the title company, even though the owner was deceased.
Well, they say, like, you see that commercial go on now that you got to check your title and all that.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, then you think, is that a scam?
I know.
You know, I mean, there's a point in life, isn't there, when it seems like, how much can we keep looking to make sure our stuff is our stuff?
Right.
And it's sad, though, because then when
Every
it happens
day.
to you, you're like, why didn't I check that? Well,
Right,
I can
right.
only do so much in 24 hours.
Right.
So what's
Every
on our
day.
next meeting, and when is our next meeting?
So the next meeting is on April 28th, again at 6 p.m., although we're going to start a work session at 4:30 that day, and we're going to talk about reclaimed water, and we're going to talk about some equipment that our Public Works Department needs, and they'll be making a presentation to the mayor and the commission. Not that any decisions get made at workshops, but that's an opportunity for them to learn and get informed about what may be coming in the near future.
So the public can go to the workshop.
Sure.
Okay.
The one challenge that we as a commission have is it's called the Florida Sunshine Law. So we can only talk about, the commission, the elected officials, can only talk about things that were going to come before the city at a public meeting. Because unfortunately, it could be corrupt. We could all say, okay, let's go meet down at Taco Bell next Tuesday, and we're going to talk about this next agenda item. And you
Right.
kind of stack the books. So that's not a good thing.
Right.
So we have to have workshops so that instead of Joe having to meet with each one of us individually and have a 2-hour meeting, we can have 1 2-hour meeting and all 5 of us can be there and
And
learn.
it can only be talked about that
It can
item.
only be talked about. And then we learn about issues coming before us, because when we have the commission meeting, basically we are just there to do the legal portion of the business of the city in the public. And if Joe and I meet once a week, and he meets with all the other commissioners at least once a week to go over things that are coming up. If we didn't have these meetings before time, our meetings are typically an hour to an hour and a half long. If we didn't have these individual meetings,
You'd be sleeping
our
there.
meetings would be 10 hours long.
You'd have to bring your sleeping
Yes,
bag.
it'd be
Yeah,
very long.
I get that.
So we have the workshops to try and educate us all at the same time on topics that may or may not come back to us in the future.
Right.
So you're going to do the workshop, and then,
So do the
then
workshop.
what's on the agenda?
And then on the agenda, there's actually 3 items on the agenda. A representative from Volusia County Council will be reading another proclamation for former mayor and Commissioner Roy Johnson. And then we'll also be doing presentations from some of our health brokers, our healthcare brokers. We have to hire or either renew a contract or hire a new broker. So they'll be doing presentations from 3 representatives for that. And then we have another opportunity where we're going to be promoting 2 fine officers in the police department. We have Andrew Barrett, who's going to be promoted to the position of lieutenant.
Awesome.
And then we have Officer Ibarra, who's going to be promoted to a corporal position.
I love that.
2 fine officers. They do a great job, and we're real happy and proud that they're getting moved up. It's important that we have a succession plan within the police department, within all our departments, so that we can provide opportunities for people to get promoted, provide them opportunities to make more money.
And they want to stay then,
And then they want to stay. These are not just jobs. These are careers for these people.
My grandson's a sheriff deputy.
Oh,
So-
wonderful. Right here in Volusia County?
Yes.
Good.
So I'm really into the police officers. That's why I started that police show. And I think it's very important to know that they're real people that want to go home every day.
Yeah.
Right.
But they also want to keep us safe. And I think a lot of people just look at it like, oh no. And I don't look at it like that. As I see them in the morning as I'm driving to work, I just reach my hand out and say, Lord, protect them and guide them and let them go home.
Yeah. We're a small city. We don't have the kind of crimes and problems that some big cities have. But every time a police officer pulls over a car, you don't know who's coming
Nope.
out of that car.
You sure don't.
So every one of those is a high-stress incident, a
Totally.
scene, and they always have to be on guard. They always have to be prepared.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we recognize and promote and all that. That's very important.
yeah.
You can always drop off pizzas too.
And the next thing we have on the agenda is we surplus some vehicles and equipment. When vehicles get too old or they're damaged, we try to get them to, we surplus them, we take them off our inventory, and we send them to an organization that will try to sell them or auction them off at the highest price that we can get. So that's a way that we kind of turn our money back around. And then we're also considering a custodial service. We have 3 custodians positions in the city. One of those custodians retired, and I want to privatize that. Instead of having one custodian hired, we're going to hire a company to come in and hopefully do a better job of cleaning City Hall, cleaning Sika Hall, Public Works, the police department, and free up the time of the other 2 custodians to do the other things that they need to do.
Is that like the other things? Are you saying like all the trash cans that are by the bus stops? Is that something the custodians do or not really?
They do that, and that's a challenge in and of itself.
It is.
Because they're small cans. They do get used a lot. Sometimes when they're empty, they don't get used at all, and that's frustrating to us.
Isn't that funny? They'll put it on the ground
throw it on the
and
ground.
it's empty.
Right.
I mean, hello.
They just drop it on the ground,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that frustrates the staff the most in the city. We do have people that will just drop their trash at a bus stop. I want there, this is probably not an idea that'll go over well, but I want there to be a big trash can on the side of the Votran bus so that when people go to get on the bus, they put their trash there.
Let's see how that works out for you.
That's not going to work. That's
It's
not
not.
going to
I'm
work.
just going to tell you, Joe, but it sounded really, really good.
It won't work. But what happens is people sit there, and when the bus comes, they just stand up, and their trash falls to the ground, and they get on the bus.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with how they were raised.
It does indeed.
Right.
It does, because, everything starts back how you grew up.
Yeah.
And so, but all in all, our city looks great.
It's doing
It's doing much better.
much better.
I was once told everything you needed to learn in life, you learned in kindergarten.
Probably.
You learned how to be nice. You learned how to treat people with respect. You knew how to put things in the trash. Everything you learned that was important, you learned in kindergarten.
Well, I'll go one step further. We're on WAPN. I was told everything you need to know in life you learn at Sunday school.
Yep.
That too.
No, but both. You're right. But we did learn it at a young age, and I
Right.
think what happens as we get older, we get a lot lazier on things. And I try to always be kind. I think that's very important. And I always try to think of, why can't I just throw it away? It's not that hard. And I even put my cart back every week, and if people laugh at me, it's really important to me at Publix to put my darn cart back or wherever I'm at.
Right.
And people look at me like, well, why do you do that? Because it's just one thing. If you make a habit, another habit will form.
Well, at Aldi, you get your quarterback.
Well, see, I don't, I usually give it up to somebody else. I know. I'm not, see, I'm being kind right there. Well, is there anything else we need to talk about? Or are we good till next month?
Well, the one last item that's on this agenda of note is the old bank at the corner of Flomish and Ridgewood. That's going to be redeveloped.
What's it going to be?
Zahn Engineering is going in there. Pete Zahn, he's been around for quite a while, and he's going to be moving part of his engineering business in there. It's also going to have some equipment in the back parking area. There'll be a 6-foot fence around that. But Pete Zahn and Zahn Engineering, they've been a partner with the city for many years on projects, and I'm glad to see that they're moving into the city of Holly Hill, and they're taking an empty building and they're filling it up.
That's my goal. I would love to see all the empty buildings brought up to code and taken over, because it's so sad driving by it. I mean, I miss having that bank there. I really, but the praise report is we can do everything with our phones, but I still do miss it being there, you know. But I'm glad to hear something's going there. Just like there's one place I don't like in town, and I found out there's going to be a gas station there, and I was like, yay! I know.
It's got to be the corner of LPG.
Yeah, I knew you guys knew that. Because, I mean, like even yesterday, I was sitting at that darn light, I'm going, oh. And then my husband said something, and I go, it's going to be a gas station.
But it's not just going to be a gas station. It's going to be a convenience store.
Yes.
So Murphy Oil is going to go in there, and they're going to have a number of pumps for gas, but they're also going to have a pretty nice convenience store in there. Kind of a smaller version of what a Wawa or a racetrack type of
Awesome. It
convenience
just
store.
takes time. We all want it now, don't we?
Yeah, but
do.
you know what? That corner is one of the biggest eyesores in the city.
Yes, it
and
is.
it's on our main corridors, the two. So that you're going to see some activity on that coming up pretty soon.
I was sitting there and I thought, we have a welcome to Holly Hill sign right
there.
there. And I'm like, this is why we get a bad rap. But it takes time, people.
It does.
You know, and that's the thing. it just takes time, and just like anything, when your yard looks crappy,
Right.
you got to work it.
Yep, got to
Well,
plant the seed.
Right.
the toughest thing we have, is, like Joe said earlier, our government's pretty approachable. We have an open door policy to most of our department heads, but we can't do it all. We have to recruit the investor that believes in
Yes.
it also, and believes it's a good investment.
Well, when you get an anchor in here, that's
Right.
going to help also.
Right.
There's a certain kind of chicken, the Lord's chicken. If we could get that in Holly Hill, I
Yeah.
tell you, that would make me a happy girl. I'm just saying, I would totally support it.
Yeah, I think we all would.
Well, you guys, it's been so much fun having
been
you here
wonderful.
today.
Thank you.
And we're
Thanks
going
for
to do
having
this
us.
every month, aren't we?
Sure.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be really important for the city to get them excited. I think we're going to light a fire under people and realize it's our city.
Right.
Well, y'all, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.